Yo, peace, blessings, love, and light. Peace, blessings, love, and light. Yah, the Most High, shine down on and in the lives of all of the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth. Man, I was trying to wait until I got to my pickup spot so I could, spit this download at y'all, man. But my ancestors was like, man, I'm gonna have to say this while it's coming in fresh, while it's coming in hot off the press. So ancestors wanted me to talk to y'all about biblical Rahab and biblical Mary Magdalene. Biblical Rahab and biblical Mary Magdalene. And the reason why they wanted me, and this message is mainly for the sisters here in America. This message is mainly for descendants of slaves, black women who are descendants of slaves here in America. But also, if other sisters around the planet in the African diaspora and are in nations outside of Africa, and you're under the same oppression that black people in America are under, this message is for y'all sisters as well. And this message is for y'all sisters as well. All sisters in the African diaspora that's under some type of oppression outside of the continent of Africa, Right, this message about biblical Rahab and biblical Mary Magdalene, this is about y'all as well. Y'all need to hear this as well. All right, so I want to tell y'all the reason why this message was coming to me. But let me just say this. The message came to me because, ancestors inside of me, be seeing social media and hearing social media. And there was this black woman that came on social media, talking about black women that be shaking their ass on social media, showing their ass, showing their body, twerking and things of that nature, right? And I just felt ancestors inside of me getting upset over that message. And so that's when they was like, you need to talk to the sisters about biblical Rahab and biblical Mary Magdalene. And I was like, okay, all right. So for those of y'all that, don't read the Bible, you don't believe in the Bible, so on and so forth, I totally understand. But understand that when I'm talking about the Bible, when I'm talking to y'all about the Bible, I'm talking to y'all from an African perspective, from an ancient African perspective, because the Bible is taking place in Africa and Middle East, okay? I'm talking to you from a historical standpoint. So when I talk about the Bible, y'all should at least listen to me. I can understand why you don't want to listen to Pastor or Bishop T.D. Jakes or Geno Jennings or any of these religious people. I can understand why you don't want to listen to none of them that be talking about the Bible. I understand that. But you should, if you are a descendant of slaves, or you in the African diaspora and you in some type of oppressive situation in a country outside of Africa, y'all should listen to what it is that I'm saying, or what it is the ancestors is telling me to tell y'all. All right, so biblical Rahab and biblical Joshua. All right, for those of y'all that don't read the Bible, even for those of y'all that do read the Bible and you have studied the Bible and you've been to Sunday school and everything, y'all gonna have a better understanding of what it is that I'm saying than people that have never, really studied the Bible, read the Bible, whatever. But y'all folks that got biblical understanding, y'all about to understand the story from a deeper situation, from a deeper understanding. All right, so the one thing y'all always got to keep in mind, biblical Joshua is an English word. English letter J, English letter O, English letter S, English letter H, English letter U, English letter A. Joshua. It's all English. The letter J did not exist in that ancient African territory. Genesis chapter 2, verse 13 through 14, and Genesis chapter 13. Africa, Middle East, and the territory in between Africa and Middle East called Canaan. There was no letter J, there was no vowels in that ancient kingdom. So this is an English word. And I'm telling you that because you need to get a Strong's exhaustive concordance of the Bible. Go into the Hebrew dictionary and read the Hebrew definition for that English word Joshua. That is very important because I'm going to be saying some stuff and y'all going to be getting in your feelings, and you're going to be getting in your feelings because you lacking some knowledge. You're lacking some understanding. So you really might want to go read the definition for that English word Joshua before even listening to the rest of this message. You know, because you religious people, y'all about to get in y'all feelings over some of the stuff that I'm about to say. All right? So I'm assuming that y'all have read the Hebrew definition or the Hebrew Phoenician definition for that English word Joshua in the Strong's Concordance. In that definition, you're going to see Jehovah saved. That English word Joshua, it is pronounced Yahoshua. And in the definition, you're going to see Jehovah saved, meaning that salvation is attached to this particular name, Yahoshua. In the Phoenician Hebrew, or Joshua here in the English, the salvation is attached to that word. Now, for those of y'all that have not read the Bible, I say, go get a original 1611 King James Bible and read the book of Joshua. I'm gonna recap it real quick. So in the book of Joshua, basically the biblical people, they were coming out of an oppression to biblical Egypt. And I'm one of those people that don't believe that biblical Egypt was over in Africa. I'm one of those persons that when I study the Bible, I come to understand that biblical Egypt was over here in this territory, here in the West Hemisphere. So in the book of Joshua, you have African people and babies that they made with black Indians over here. You had them leaving up out of here and going back or making a pilgrimage back over to that territory in Canaan. It took them 40 years. To travel back to that particular territory over in East Africa. Religious people want you to believe it took them 40 years to travel from Cairo, Egypt, over to Jerusalem, Israel. They want you to believe it took them 40 years to do that. They want you to believe these people got lost. I mean, if you do a Google search, or like you do Google Maps and you do like the walking feature of Cairo, Egypt to Jerusalem, Israel, it only take like about 7 days to walk that. You don't even need ships to sail from from Cairo, Egypt to Jerusalem. You can actually walk that. There is nowhere in the world you're going to get lost 40 years walking from Cairo, Egypt to Jerusalem, Israel, and you don't need ships to do that. And the only reason I went on a rant about that because, Hebrew Israelites, man, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, it say, I will take you back into Egypt with ships. Talking about coming back over here to the west in ships because they had already left here. In Genesis chapter 42 is when they came over here because they were dealing with some type of famine or some type of issue over there in East Africa. And the Phoenicians were a seafaring people. They were sailing across the coast of Africa on the Mediterranean. And this is during the time that Africa was connected to North and South America. Genesis chapter 42. So Joshua is them coming up out of this territory after being over here for religious people want y'all to believe that bondage was like for 400 years. It was not. Careful study of the Bible shows you that they were only in bondage over here for like 188 years. 188 years. And then them and the children that they made with the black Indians over here, and not all the children that they made with the black Indians left with them. There were, quite a few, and I'm referencing Genesis chapter 17 when it talks about Ishmael, being 12 kings and everything, and also in the book of Genesis, when it talks about Joseph. Biblical Joseph was over here as a slave. He was over here in this Egypt as a slave. He married a black Indian woman over here and made children over here. So all of them, after those half black Indian and African children, because that's what Ishmael is. Ishmael is half black Indian, half African. His mother Hagar was a black Indian from over here. And biblical Abraham was an African. Abraham and Hagar, the African father with a black Indian mother, they created Ishmael. And they talk about him being 12 kings. So you have like 12 Indian tribes that came up over here with a Kemetic mindset, because these people came out. Biblical Abraham, what it means in the Hebrew Phoenician definition for the word Abraham, first it was Abram, then it became Abraham. The Hebrew definition for that word is black father of multitudes that crossed over. That's what an Abraham is. That word Abraham is not just referring to an individual. It includes an individual, but it's actually talking about black African men who are the fathers of multitudes. Black African men that, are children of sons of God. The black woman is God. I talk about that all the time. Black women are the manifestations of the universe. Sent here on the planet, they already were impregnated with a female and male versions of themselves. And that's what the Immaculate Conception is about. Trying not to get off track. I'm just trying to fill in some holes. All right, so I'm trying to explain, the book of Joshua. I'm trying to recap the book of Joshua. So you have, these half African, half black Indian children leaving up out of this territory with their family members that came from East Africa territory. And not all of these children left. Some of them stayed behind here in the country. And I guess the reason why I keep touching on that is because you keep running into these people calling themselves aboriginals. These black folks saying that they not Africans. They're basically claiming, and I don't know if they know that this is what they're saying, but they are basically saying that they are descendants of that union between Africans that came over here way before Columbus. They're basically saying that they are products of that union, of the African fathers making babies with the black Indian women, and vice versa, but mainly that union between the black African male and the black Indian female. And I'm focusing on that because that's the dynamic that the Bible keeps showing. The Bible shows that dynamic with Joshua and the wife that the Pharaoh over here gave him. And the Bible shows that dynamic between biblical Abraham and Hagar. So, Genesis chapter 42 is when they come over here. They over here for 188 years. And then, they are being oppressed, by the black Indians. And so that is a sign to them that it's time for them to go back home. So the biblical Exodus is about Africans that was over here returning back over to the territory in the middle of Africa and the Middle East. And like I said, it took them 40 years, to get back there. All right, so now the book of Joshua, they get into the land, but when they get back home, the land is occupied by some other people that been, moving into the area since they've been gone. But the people that are in that area, they're not the original people. The original people are returning back to this territory really because that's what the universe That's where the universe planted us. That is where we are supposed to be forever and ever. Amen. Basically, that's what Genesis chapter 13 is saying. This land is for you and your seed forever. So everybody, all of the races have a God-given territory on this planet that they're supposed to be in forever and ever and ever. As long as this planet is in existence, these people that were planted in a particular territory, they're supposed to be in that territory forever and ever. Amen. So basically, you know, these people that were planted in that territory of Africa that are over here in the West, the universe is basically guiding them back into that territory. And so in the book of Joshua, you come across the story of Joshua and Rahab. Biblical Rahab is known as a prostitute. Now, this is very important, right? This part about Rahab is very important. This biblical Rahab went down in history. She went down in history as one of the black women that was responsible for the resurrection of the kingdom of God on earth. I'm gonna say it again. This biblical Rahab, this prostitute, went down in history as the black woman that was responsible for the resurrection of the kingdom of the gods on earth. When you read the story of Joshua, that's the conclusion you're gonna come to. This black prostitute was responsible for the resurrection of the gods on earth. Because in Genesis chapter 42, you see that the gods are dealing, the Kemetic gods, the judges, the magistrates, the people that created the first civilization. They're going through something, there's some type of famine that caused them to leave up out of that territory and come over here to be among other pitch black people. Even though they had straight hair, they wanted to be among other heavily melanated people. But then, the universe made it to where it was time for them to return back to the land. So this is the reason why there is a conflict of these original people when they come back into the land and there's these foreign people in their land. There is a conflict. And the conflict is called, in the Bible, it's called the walls of Jericho. It talks about how, they marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times and the walls fell. It's a metaphorical story. But according to the history, there was a conflict that took place in order for the kingdom of the gods to be reestablished in that territory and for it to resurrect. But the ancestors want y'all to know that this biblical Rahab, this prostitute. All right, let me ask y'all this question. Because when the Bible talks about whores and whoredom and prostitutes and things like that, there's a one word can have like several different meanings to it. Like the word prostitute and the word whore, it could mean, what we all understand a prostitute and a whore to be. It can mean that, but it can also mean a woman that just simply shows her body. She's not necessarily exchanging spiritual energy with this man, that man, this man, that man. She's just a woman that's showing her body for financial reasons. And this is the reason why ancestors was getting upset when they heard that sister talking about women shaking their ass and twerking and showing their naked bodies and everything. All right, right now I'm hearing Isaiah chapter 1, and I'm also hearing Amos chapter 5, verse 21. And what ancestors is trying to convey with these, Isaiah chapter 1 and Amos chapter 5, verse 21, is that it has always been the purpose of the universe, or the desire of the universe, to be in our God-given territory. And whenever we're not in our God-given territory, we are not fulfilling our position as gods on earth. We are out of sync with the universe that created us. And because we're out of sync with the universe that created us, the entire planet starts falling out of order or out of sync with the universe. So it is the design of the universe for us to always be in our land. And for whatever reasons that we end up not being in our land, it is our responsibility to get back to that land by any means necessary. That's my Malcolm X voice right there. We are to be in our land, get back to our land by any means necessary. And that particular message is really directed at the black woman. The manifestation of the universe on this earth. That message, by any means necessary, is specifically directed at the black woman and her children, known as the sons of God. Black woman and your son. Put that image of Mother Mary and Jesus sitting on her lap. But picture the black Madonna with a black baby sitting on her lap. That's you, black woman, and your child. That is a metaphor for you, black woman, and your children. When you are in foreign land under foreign rule, you are supposed to get up out of that by any means necessary. Even if you gotta be a Rahab, even if you gotta shake your ass, shake it fast, make that money so you can come up with the reparations that you need to get free and get back to building your own kingdom. While you shaking your ass, shaking it fast for that little bit of cash, you teaching your babies, I'm doing this because I'm trying to deliver y'all out from up under this oppression that we are in. These foreigners that we are under, these foreigners that have the rule over us, they do not have our best interests at heart. And it's not common sense to allow foreigners to be rulers over you. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verses 14 through 15. Emphasis on verses 14 through 15. Deuteronomy chapter 17, emphasis on verses 14 through 15. When you enter into the land the Lord God has given you, and you say we are gonna set, or we want to set a king over us, you are to set a king over you that is from among your own people. That is a commandment. Not only is it a commandment, it's just common sense. There's a scripture in the New Testament where biblical Paul is saying, I suffer not a woman to teach. This biblical Paul, and I'm emphasizing biblical Paul because biblical Paul is a metaphor for black men who were under the oppression of the Roman Empire. And they came to the conclusion that we cannot have no slave-minded women teaching our children. We cannot have black women who are bowing down to the Roman Empire, that are in love with the Roman Empire. We cannot have these women teaching our children or being teachers over black men and women. These black women are slave-minded, and they're going to teach all of us to be slave-minded to Rome. That's the reason why it says, I suffer not a woman to teach. It's talking about these blind-ass black women that are in love with these foreign rulers that are leading us down the road to hell, taking us further and further away from the universe, a purpose for us as gods on earth. So, back to Rahab. I don't believe that Rahab was the type of prostitute that we're thinking of. I think that Rahab was a woman that was blessed with enormous beauty by the universe. The universe blessed this woman with enormous beauty. The kind of beauty that men want to see, get all Google-eyed over it, and she was just making money off of it. And the universe directed this biblical Joshua to her. You're going to notice in the story that this woman is labeled as a spy. She is a spy in Jericho. This is the woman, or these are the women, these women that was showing their bodies, shaking their ass and shaking it fast. These are the women that the universe used to deliver Israel into their own land, or to give Israel their own land, or help them recapture the land that they originated in. Now, keep this in mind. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. And in that scripture, or in that verse, it talks about, how there's nothing new under the sun. So you have in the Old Testament, you got this Joshua, and like I said, the name means Jehovah saved. You got this Joshua working with a prostitute by the name of Rahab that is a spy. A woman that's shaking her ass, shaking it fast. She's showing the people what she's working with. I don't believe she's exchanging or polluting her bloodline, sleeping with a bunch of different men. I believe the woman was just showing her body, doing what she needed to do, or these women doing what they needed to do in order for Jehovah to save the children out of oppression and put them back in their land. So this is going on in the Old Testament, right? But then when you get in the New Testament, you got this Jesus and this Mary Magdalene. And this Mary Magdalene is who? Or what do they refer to Mary Magdalene as? A prostitute. And in the New Testament, this is during a time where they are under the oppression of the Roman Empire. So it looked like everything is on repeat. There is nothing new under the sun. The way that they got free in the Old Testament and got their kingdom back and resurrected their kingdom back, it is almost as if they said, hey, let's run the same play that our ancestors ran. Let's run that same play. Because, the strength of the Roman Empire, man, I mean, like, we ain't going to be able to get free militarily. All avenues that we can think of to get free from these people, there's really no avenues. But these dudes, these Roman dudes, they sure like looking at a black woman's ass, though. And then this is what y'all sisters is going. All right, so let me say this real quick. I'm talking to y'all sisters that be doing OnlyFans videos. You ain't out here giving your body away to all of these men. You just showing your body. You just shaking your ass, shaking it fast, showing the population what you working with, to make your money. I'm talking to y'all, but I want y'all to know this. If you're doing that, but you're not doing it for the reasons that Rahab was doing it, or doing it for the reasons Mary Magdalene was doing it, ancestors ain't got no respect for you. You're not doing it to deliver a people out of an oppressive society. And I can tell that you're not doing it for that reason, because you always fighting with your sisters. You and your sisters, you not on the same accord with your sisters. Every time I hear you arguing with your sisters. Y'all not on code with each other. Y'all not on mission. I'm only talking to the sisters that are doing that are on a mission. Sisters sisters that know the history of, and right now I'm specifically talking to sisters here in America, because I don't really know the situation that's going on with the sisters over in the United Kingdom, the ones over in Japan, over in Asia, the ones over in India, the ones in Russia. I don't know what's really going on with y'all in y'all foreign territories. I'm talking to the sisters right here in America. You know the history of this country where the white supremacist construct and black people are concerned. You know the history. And I will never understand how it is that a black woman that knows the history of this country, where when it comes down to the white supremacist construct and black men, I just don't understand how black women can be comfortable making babies and having babies and raising babies here. Making black babies, having black babies, and raising black babies in this white supremacist construct, knowing the history of this white supremacist construct where their sons are concerned. Even today, hey, dude, you smoking all your breaks. Even today, you can see shows like Indisputable with Rashad Ritchie, showing the inequities that are still existing. The inequities between descendants of slaves and this white supremacist construct, like the injustice that's still going on where we are concerned. Roland Martin, you can watch a show like Roland Martin and you see the same thing. It's like all of this injustice that's still taking place so many years later. So, at what point does a black woman come to the realization that a biblical Rahab comes to? Or that a Mary Magdalene comes to? All right, so now I'm talking to the sisters that are on that by any means necessary frequency. I'm talking to the sisters that, are hearing from ancestors and they know the real reason why they doing it. They are on that Rahab. They are on Rahab time. They are on Mary Magdalene time. Let me tell y'all what's going to happen to y'all. The same thing that happened in the New Testament, they don't really cover it in the Old Testament with Joshua and Rahab, but I'm quite sure the same thing was taking place that you see in the New Testament. In the New Testament, you see them coming at this biblical Jesus. You see the religious people coming after biblical Jesus, talking about, hey, why does your master sit with sinners and publicans? Why does your master sit with sinners and publicans? These are the religious people, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the scribes. The Muslims, the Jews, and the Christians of that day. The Pharisees, the scribes, and the Sadducees. Talking about, and keep in mind, this dude was teaching the laws of Moses, right? And we know that the biblical stories say that Moses was taught in all of the ways of the Egyptians. But at any rate, I guess that's the reason why the scribes, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees had an issue with him, because, he was teaching all of this Egyptian stuff he learned from Moses, right? But at any rate, this is what the religious people were saying. Why your master sit with the publicans and the sinners? And then you'll see other, issues, where he butting heads with folks, and they call him, there's a story about him like casting out devils or so on and so forth, right? I'm not gonna get into that. That's a metaphorical story, but the story basically says that he's casting out devils, right? Or he's casting out unclean spirits. And the religious people are saying the only reason why he casting out, unclean spirits, because he's the prince of unclean spirits. or he's casting out Satan because he's the prince of Satan. So this is, what's going to happen to y'all sisters that's on that Rahab frequency, that's on that Mary Magdalene frequency. Even the brothers that's on that Joshua frequency, that Jesus frequency. Well, Jesus, let's scratch that, because folks be confusing Jesus with Joshua. Joshua was a Jesus. Joshua was a citizen from that, or he's a descendant of those from that particular kingdom over in East Africa. Everybody that was in that kingdom in East Africa was a Jesus. They were all under the banner of the Ankh cross. So when the Bible's in the New Testament is talking to y'all about Jesus, they really just talking about Joshua again. It's like Joshua and Rahab returned back to earth in order to deliver the children out from up under the oppression of Rome, just like they were involved with delivering the children out of the oppression over here in the West. It was like the universe, basically sent them back down here again, to run the same play. So today, I think that's the reason why Ancestors was really upset when they heard that sister talking that mess to the sisters that, talking to the ones that's like shaking their ass and shaking it fast and showing what they working with. And like, they get on Nicki Minaj, and they getting on Cardi B, and they getting on Megan Thee Stallion. And they talk about, like, when you go into these women personal life, they not even living like that. That these women are actually married. They actually have husbands. They actually have children. They actually have families. So I'm like, that should cause y'all some concern. I don't really want to bring too much attention to that, because when I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh shoot. Is them sisters on some Rahab energy? Is some sisters on some Mary Magdalene energy? Is they like, But then I look over, in Africa, to see, I'm looking over in East Africa, to see if anything's being built. And I'm not hearing anything. And I don't really expect to hear anything, man, because, we got enemies, man. We got enemies that don't want gods to resurrect our earth. Ain't nothing new under the sun. There is something... I don't really know the reason why, man, but Pan-Africanism, it is being demonized. It is being demonized. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know why there are people that don't want gods to resurrect on earth. I mean, come on, man. You see the laws. The 42 laws of Ma'at, right? Or the 422 laws of Ma'at. Or even the 10 Commandments. And we've had this discussion before about the English word God. What does the English word God mean in that language over there? You see in the definition, judges and magistrates. The creators of the very first civilization created laws, statutes, and commandments in order for that kingdom to operate like heaven on earth, so that people can live in peace and harmony and decency and order. That's the reason why there are laws. So I'm like, I guess the reason why Pan-Africanism is being demonized is because you got these satanic people that want to be lawless. They want to do as thou wilt. They don't want to follow decency and order. And look at where it's leading the planet. Nature is out of whack. The ozone layer is depleting. The oceans are getting polluted. Animals are going extinct. There's wars all over the place. People getting their land taken away from them. Folks starving. I mean, it's like all of these problems, man. Every time you turn around, man, it's like problems. Even in our own lives, man, we dealing with things in our own lives, man. We got doggone satanic people attacking us personally and whatnot, man. You know, because they're in a position to do so. So in order to make themselves feel good, you know, they're gonna oppress people because it make them feel good. We watching black men beat up on other black men's daughters like the black woman is a slave or something. It's like stuff is just like so out of order here. And to me, it just makes no sense. I'm like, who wants to live like that? Who wants to live in an environment like this? Why would somebody choose this particular environment over a peaceful environment? It don't make no sense. You would think that people would just get out of our way when they see, you know, that we're trying to resurrect, when they see that we trying to rise again, when we trying to reset the planet and put the planet back in its original order. You think that they would just move, get out the way, move, bitch, get out the way. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand why folks don't want to get out of our way. You know, but let me tell you something, man. I guess the reason why that word bitch came out, right? Because if you are a black woman here in this society, right, in this white supremacist construct, if you are a descendant of African slaves, a black woman who is a descendant of African slaves here in this white supremacist construct, and you fighting against Pan-Africanism, yes, you are a bitch. You are a female dog. Why would I call you a female dog? Do you even know what a biblical beast is? Do you know what a biblical beast is? Do you know what the Hebrew definition is for serpent? There's two types of serpents. One serpent refers to a jackal. The other one refers to a sea monster. But that's just, you know, a metaphorical way of talking about those who come from Neanderthal, Homo sapien, surface dwellers, and those who were developed in the water above and finished their development here in the water below and came up out of the water and finished their development, their evolution, so to speak. But if you are a black woman, a descendant of slaves in this white supremacist construct, and meaning that you are from those that came up out of the waters of the universe, but you're protecting these jackals, these serpents over here, that's what makes you a bitch, because you are taking up for the bitches. You're not taking up for the people of the water. You're not taking up for children of the sun and the universe. You're taking up for the earth animals. Yo, if you offended, yo, put the shoe on, wear that mother, wear it, because you a sellout to your people. You a female Judas Iscariot is what you are. I don't think any black man or black woman should have respect for a black woman that takes up for the white supremacist society that is oppressing her people. The United States has a word for that. Traitor. There is a charge that they put on people that are traitors to their own race or traitors to their own. The charge that they put on those people is treason. No black woman should be putting another race before her own race. Especially if she got children in this country and know the history of this country. So, you know, I'm saying all of that to say to the sisters that are on that Rahab frequency, that are on that Mary Magdalene frequency, you know, that's, you know, they understand by any means necessary. And like I said, I'm not talking to the ones that's just doing it just to make money, just so they can floss here in America. You just as guilty as the treasonous woman that I'm talking about. You're just as guilty as the black woman that's taken up for this white supremacist construct. You have no desire to rebuild your ancestors' kingdom for the future of your people. You ain't, if you just up there shaking your ass, shaking it fast, showing people what you working with, you even out here laying down with all these different men just so you can make the money, so you can be living all lavish here in America. I'm not even talking to you. You are a traitor. I'm talking to the women that's shaking their ass, shaking it fast, twerking it, showing the people what they working with, making the money because they understand that I got to get my people up out of here by any means necessary. I am the daughter of the sun in the universe. I am God on earth. Me and my sisters, we on this frequency. I'm talking to y'all. Y'all they gonna send black religious women after y'all, talking all kind of smack. But trust and believe, ancestors got your back more than they got the back of them religious women here in America that don't know nothing, think they know the Bible and they don't. Their understanding of the Bible is based on white supremacist seminary school teaching. So I'm going to recap because I feel like, folks didn't even hear this part. That word Joshua, the book of Joshua, that English word Joshua, go look up the Hebrew definition of that English word Joshua. You're going to see in the definition, Jehovah saves. The word salvation is attached to that English word Joshua. And it was a prostitute that Jehovah used to get the people they land back in that biblical territory. Genesis chapter 13. This land is unto you and your seed forever. And I used a prostitute to give it back to you. What type of prostitute am I talking about? Not the ones that's running from one man to the next, to the next, to the next, and using the money that they get from the men to floss here in America. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about the ones that are spies, like biblical Rahab. Understand by any means necessary. Them the ones I'm talking to. All right, so peace, blessings, love, light of Yah the Most High, shine down on and in the lives of all of the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth. Ancestors' protection be around y'all. Live righteous. You know what time it is.